We are Makilala TV, the first Filipino-American TV talk show in the New York metro area. Get to know us as we talk to the community leaders, innovators, advocates, and emerging artists who affect Filipino-American life.
Early October, FilAm nurse Maria Ambrosio was heading home from the Philippine consulate and tragically killed after being pushed to the ground in Times Square by a mentally ill, homeless person. It is the latest horrific incident in a string of attacks within our community, and it sounds like it could have happened to any of us. How do we make our streets safer? Where can people go for help? How many more FilAms do we have to mourn for the city to take our safety seriously? How can we fight back? For this episode of Makilala TV, we will hear from two brave FilAms who were brutally attacked in two separate incidents just days apart. Joining us for this episode of Makilala TV is guest speaker Potri Ranka Manis, who is indigenous Maranao from the southern Philippines and came to the U.S. in 1990, who served as a frontliner during HIV/AIDS pandemic and currently the COVID-19 pandemic. She is also the founder and artistic director of Kinding Sindaw, NYFA Fellow for Folks Arts, resident artist of La Mama, and co-founder of Kalusugan Coalition. Potri is a known public health leader in the Asian community and was attacked in a New York City subway while trying to give away masks. We also welcome guest speaker Miguel Catacutan Braganza II, who is originally from the Philippines and now resides in the Upper West Side. He is a New York-based musical theater actor, show creator, director-choreographer, and international music theater teaching artist. He is the founding president of the Streets of Dreams Projects for the Arts, Philippines, and associate producer and choreographer of the Broadway-bound musical Song of Solomon. Miguel was attacked with a gun to his head on his way home after getting out of his Uber. On behalf of my co-host, Jen Fuhrer, who is not able to make it for this episode, and Cristina Pastor, we welcome you to Makilala TV, Potri and Miguel. So let's first start with Potri. Can you talk us through what led to you actually getting attacked?
Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum. Maraming salamat, Makilala TV. It's a story that is not so happy, but I'm using this to bring up the stories of others that may have kept it to themselves because they're not able to navigate what is supposed to be the response. On August 10, 2021 at 6 p.m., I was attacked by a couple at the E-Train subway on my way home from work, and I'm going home to Queens. There was a couple who entered, I think, 34th Street Station, and they were not masked, and they have a baby in a stroller. They just sat directly near me, and it's no more social distancing. And the announcement of wearing a face mask, this is absolutely necessary, needed in the subway, was just given by the overhead announcement. So I was giving mask, which is my usual habit since the coming of this COVID-19. For me, mask is a shield, you know. If you go to war, you may not have a sword, but you have a shield. And the very beginning of COVID, PPE is the most defense that we, healthcare worker, has. And, have to have. And also, I've been giving this mask in the public, soliciting masks all over. We even have created this I Love You Very Mask program as an overarching work for Kinding Sindaw. So what happened is, when I was giving a mask, the man said, he took the mask and threw it away, saying, go home to mind your own business, chink. Mind your own business, chink. And then I just still smiling and say, we need the mask to not to let COVID-19 go up to 2025. So the man stood up, about to grab my bag where he saw I was taking the envelopes of mask, and there was somebody who held him from his shirt. And so the woman stood up and start beating me up on my head. I'm just trying to cover my face. I was saying like, "Oh, I have a show on Saturday. Don't hit my face." And I was calling for help. Help me, help me. This is Asian hate. Nobody was helping. And then
Nobody
I'm
was
about to
helping.
kick her on her knee because I was sitting and I know a little martial art. So just kicking her knee will make her fall down. But when I turned to the left, I saw her child, looking at her committing violence and sitting on that umbrella stroller. So I
Mhm.
was thinking, if I hit her, who will take care of the child? Still mothering, even though
Yeah,
being
yeah.
rude, yeah. So I know she was hitting me with her knuckle, not this one. If she hit me with her knuckles, then I could have been bleeding. But that was more than 20 times. And then when the door opened for 42nd Street, they were rushing out, and I was taking my phone to call 911 and also pressing the subway red button there for emergency. The man came back, grabbed the phone from my hand, and ran away. And then I
Oh,
ran after them, calling for police. And then when I went up the subway, there was one policeman. I was saying, "Officer, help me. I was assaulted. My phone was stolen." And
yeah.
the police were just looking at me. Maybe this is another crazy woman in 42nd Street. So he did not do anything. So I went
Oh my God.
upstairs. There were already maybe responders for the 911. There were several police there who were not wearing masks. The first thing I told him, "Officer, please wear mask. I was just assaulted because I was offering mask." And they were not taking me seriously. They did not even ask my statement. Somebody went up, a Caucasian tall man, who said, "Oh, I saw everything that happened. It's just an argument over a mask." So it was so dismissive. But by the fact that it was about a mask, then you have to start asking questions if you're a police officer. And I
Yeah.
would even show them that I said, "We report to the same person, the mayor. Look, I'm a public health nurse. We are equal in preventing all this COVID." And nobody was taking.
Potri, when did 911 help come? How
911 was
many
there
minutes
already
later?
upstairs when I went up. It was so fast because it's the center, 42nd Street. I think there's already people there in that area. There was only one woman police who came and tried to listen to me, but she was not taking statements. She was just saying that, "I'll follow you, wherever the ambulance will bring you."
Hmm.
Even the EMT, the fire department EMT, I have to tell them to wear mask. "Officer, please wear mask. We're both healthcare worker."
Yeah. No,
I
I feel like that.
nothing to me.
Yeah, this is like such a crazy incident because I'm so frustrated for you because you were getting attacked and no one, even the subway riders, were coming in to help you, uh, or it's so that it seems. I feel like that, that's also just a lesson for us to, if you see something, say something, distract or intervene in some way if you feel like that it's safe. And Miguel, I also wanted to give you a chance, like how um can you lead us to what happened to your attack?
Ah, okay. Hello, everybody. Kabuwasan din si kayo in Pangasinan. Maya pa abak in Pampanga. Buenos dias in Zamboanga. Mayang buntag in Bisaya. What is this in China?
Ni hao.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that happened last August 7th. I was coming from final rehearsal. My show at the consulate, Philippine consulate, opened the same day, the Sandiwa concert, and I was after rehearsals. I had a little get together with my with Miss Saigon friends, the alumni of Miss Saigon that I worked with in the past, and then I took an Uber with one of my friends, drop him off, and straight to my apartment. And just when I got off from the Uber, somebody, the Uber just left probably not even a few seconds, uh, from nowhere in the dark.
Mhm.
This guy attacked me and grabbed me and pushed me to the car. There was like parking, a lot of cars around, and then he first he tried to grab my bags and give me your bag, and I resisted, and until he pushed me to the ground, and still trying to get my bag, and I resisted, and then finally, this is on gunpoint. Okay, this is on gunpoint, and finally, he told me, "You fucking Asian," and hit me with a gun right on my forehead, and I was
Mhm.
bleeding. When I felt the blood,
Yeah. We
like
saw the
all
videos,
yeah,
Miguel.
it's in the video. I
Mhm.
I screamed, and suddenly all the neighborhood came out from their apartments, um, you know, and they were trying to probably see what happened, what was going on, and this guy ran off, and there was another guy on the street, also, like, what do you call this? Probably his assistant, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
They disappeared, and then of course I was bleeding. I saw this blood splurted out from my head,
Oh
and
my
that's when
gosh.
I panicked,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know. And so, and then I think somebody was very nice. Somebody took my phone and took that video.
Oh,
Yeah, and then that
We
guy,
have it, yeah.
yeah, and that guy was so anyway, all these things happened. He was just asking, "What is your password?" So I gave it to him. Then I was still, I was still very, I was alert, but yet,
Yeah.
I was so scared, and
in
then
shock.
that guy is a Philippine American police, you know,
He
Yeah.
and
was there at
he's a
that
FilAm.
time.
Yeah, he was a FilAm,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then
Oh
I
my
was
God.
I was very lucky that he was there because he really did everything until they brought me to the ambulance came. I was very blur. Everything was blurry already. I couldn't even remember what happened after that. And
Miguel, this was at like 8 p.m. Like what
no,
time
no.
was it?
I'm sorry. Timeline was after 1 a.m.
Oh, so that officer was there at 1 a.m.?
No, no, no. I think my neighbors called 911.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
okay. Oh
Yeah,
my
so
gosh.
that's 1 a.m. The very first time that I went home at 1 after 1 a.m. I'm usually home at 10.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Yeah.
and my first time to take Uber. I
yeah.
usually walk.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Oh.
yeah. So it was. I would say that it was a failed robbery attack. Ended
Mhm.
up with Asian hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
I'm
know.
I'm sorry to hear what happened to you both.
Yeah.
But really, you look good, both of you. I think the trauma is more psychological, emotional than
Yes.
physical,
Yes.
which is
Yes. Yes.
okay. But I'd like to go back to Potri. Potri, you wrote something on Facebook that your attackers have been identified. What happened to that case now?
Well, my attackers was there was police detective, and a two-man police followed me in Bellevue and took my statement, and the detective showed me a CCTV to identify the
Oh,
attacker. So I was able to identify, and
okay.
they also published it after my lawyers follow up with the
Yeah.
NYPD. They
But
published
they're
it.
still out there. They're not behind bars yet.
I don't. I no. They're still
Oh,
at large,
they're
and
still out.
they're a young couple. And if ever, hopefully, they'll be arrested. I want a face to face with them, and I'm going to demand a scholarship for them to go to to a school and study what is trauma, and that,
Oh,
I mean, people who find violence as a
yeah,
result of their expression has
yeah.
undergone violence too. And
Are you still giving out masks to
I'm
people
still
that
giving out
need
masks.
masks?
And
You have
that
not
is my
stopped doing that.
and that is our resolve that I would like to invite everyone. Join
Mhm.
me and join us to I love you very mask.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
I think this is like a good time for us to actually include Jen, who recorded a question for both of you,
Mhm.
because she did want to make sure that she wanted to show her support. So let's hear a question from Jen.
Potri, hi Miguel. What happened to both of you is just totally awful and horrible. But I believe that you are both strong and resilient individuals, and you sharing your experience is helping our kababayans on how to protect yourself, how to get help, find justice, if that's even possible. So my question is, I mean, I know a lot of families, different nationalities who are native New Yorkers who moved out or considering moving out of New York because they no longer feel safe to be in the city. I mean, these attacks, this increasing crime, are these hate crime or just some people are really violent, some of them are mentally ill, morally corrupt, or just it seems like there are no consequences to bad or terrible behavior.
So, Miguel, what do you think? Do you think that these were, were these actual hate crimes, or do you think these were just violent people who wanted to strike?
Yeah, I would say, in my case, I would say that these are desperate people because of the time, probably, economics is part of it. And of course, in New York, there's a lot of them who are who who just don't want to work and just rob people. You know, and I would say that this is just one of the results of probably of the pandemic because of the um, economic problems. 2 years no job, although the government was trying to help everyone. But of
Mhm.
course, um, this kind of people, you know, they were just here since I arrived New York in the early '80s. They were already here,
Hmm.
you know. But the problem now is that because there are less policing, whatever, and then that's why these people they are back
Yeah,
to
more
rob
emboldened.
everybody. Yes, in my neighborhood, it's a nice neighborhood, quiet, middle, upper middle class neighborhood. No, what do you call this? No police cars,
Patrolling. Yeah.
patrolling. But now, I think because of the incidents, the neighborhood they were scared. So
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
see cars patrolling now.
Yeah. And Potri, what about you? Do you think that yours was a specific hate crime, or was it because they were mentally ill, just brutal?
the systemic and structural racism is always a hate crime, no matter what.
Mm.
Because if a people of color attack another people of color, that is scapegoating. You know, it goes back to the depths of how, as I said earlier, how these people grow up. Did they grow up in a foster home? Did they grow up in a family that's already abusive and dysfunctional? So it doesn't stop there. It's a study of what kind of a system do we have. Is it a system that takes care of free education? Is it a system that takes care of free healthcare? Is it a system that gives you good shelter and food? Is it a system that maintain racism as a divide and rule tactic so that people cannot, you know, eh, the anger that is displaced to another people of color like me is an easy scapegoat. I can't fight. I'm small, and also I'm a Muslim, so it even double xenophobia and Islamophobia.
Hmm.
That is a very enlightened way of looking at it, Potri. Um, my question to you and Miguel is: how do you take care of your personal security now? Are you taking precautions? Do you go out with members of
Yeah,
your family or with friends?
Pottery. Yeah, you want to answer that first?
I'm well. Um, I'm gonna tell you to be honest. I'm really afraid to take the subway. I have that deep coolness in me that I just realized this is the question that I ask my patient, like, have you feel sad in the last 2 weeks the PHQ-9, I have that. But of course, as a healthcare worker, I acknowledge that. And also as an artist and a community activist, I
Mm-hmm.
use that to go back to my experience and the experience of others. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like Noel Kinto, he was lost on his face, yet his
Yeah.
case is not taken as racism. His case is not taken as hate crime. Now, if I even wrote down one answer of your question, like this goes back to let's review the law. Of course, there's a law of hate crime, but is that for the assailant or for the victim? Now, as a victim, which I refuse to use that word because I never been a victim in my life. I'll always aim to be the champion. Now I'm trying to champion this. Um,
A
there's
survivor.
this is the thing, like you have to prove that there is evidences that there's a hate crime, evidence of text, evidence of where can you find that? And especially witnessing, you know why people now I understand. I feel so bad and I feel so contemptuous, like why people did not even pull their phone.
Yeah.
When I do that, I protect people. Like somebody, this man, young man and a child, he is chastising his child in a very loud voice, and somebody reported that he is so disruptive in the subway. When I went up the subway of Jackson Heights, 5 policemen was trying to get him, and I went and say, officer, I saw everything. This man is loud, but he's citing the Bible and he's chastising his child using the passages of the Bible. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
these people do not understand what he's saying, but I am near him and I stood for him, but
Yeah.
nobody stood for me. Now I realize when I
Yeah.
saw somebody and the sidewalk here
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in Queens, and I was calling 911, the
That's
first
right.
thing that the 911 said, do you know what he's taking? Have you been? Did you get his blood pressure? I said, that's the reason why I call 911, for you to take care of him. I'm just a bystander.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and if you review the witnesses of Eric Garner and all other people who had been victim in the past, they submitted their video, the witness, and they were attacked. So what we need now is the protection of the witness.
Yeah. Let's
The,
let's hear also from Miguel. Miguel, how do you take care of your personal security?
Yeah, right now is I'm very I usually do not go home after 1 o'clock. I make sure that I
Yeah.
take the subway. I still feel the subway is safe for me because of my line,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I usually go home before 10 o'clock. If I take the Uber or taxi, I always tell them to wait for me until I am inside the apartment.
Okay.
Yeah. So uh, in my case also, they reported it as what do you call this, as failed robbery. And
Oh.
then my statement, because the CCTV, they cannot really see the CCTV because I was under a tree that was a big tree that it was so dark,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody will. There's no what do you call this? There's no nobody took the video, or it's only my statement that I heard
Mm-hmm.
him say, "You fucking Asian," before hitting me with a gun. So right now I'm very very careful. My only fear is that when I go home anytime, that these two people are there and they will shot me. You know,
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
that's my fear.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's really terrifying because
mhm,
you could just picture any of us coming home from an
yeah,
event at the consulate or a doctor's appointment or from work, and it really is it's so scary. Like
yeah,
I'm trying to think of like what can we do now that we've had this PhilAm nurse who died by getting pushed from someone on the subway. We have you two getting attacked. I mean, prominent Filipino leaders. What can we do now in the community? What is your ask?
I'm gonna answer first. I
yes,
think
yes,
we have to continue rallying on this, making it loud and amplified, but at the same time, we really have to organize ourselves as one people. We cannot be ruled and divided. Like for example, we have to answer the census, so our community can be seen as big, like small fish swimming in a school, right? We have to be like pack of wolves who travel together or go out in the streets and amplify our issue. At the same time, we have to influence policy. And the only way to influence policy is to be organized as a people. We have to be together in our demands, and we cannot be invisible forever. We cannot be a scapegoat forever. We are so
Mhm.
gentle people. We care. We embrace, literally, we embrace patients even though our PPE is not efficient. And how many nurses died during the current COVID-19? Out of
Mm.
25% Filipino, where we occupy the rest of the death
Yeah.
rate, because we serve with our heart. We don't even think of the virus. We just see the patient. Now,
Yeah.
where is that? We are good in talking about it, but we are not together in demanding our security. The security that we talk about is as a people, as a Filipino American who has been serving this country since 1898 or
Yeah,
before
So
Potri.
that.
when we talk
Potri.
about anti-Asian hate pottery, we do not really distinguish Filipino, Chinese
Yes,
from one
yes,
another.
I,
We,
yes.
I
we look at
understand
us like
I understand the
Mm-mm.
one group.
anti-Asian hate because, in fact, it's the Asian American Federation who stood for me. Not much. I mean, of course, Philippine National Alliance for Filipino Concern. But when I say about Filipinos ourselves, we have to be organized and
Mhm.
unite with the rest of the Asian.
Yes,
Because
yes.
during demonstration, I was there in Queens and other rallies on anti-Asian hate. How many Filipinos you can count?
Yeah.
Rachelle.
Yeah,
So
yeah, Potri, I completely see where you're coming from. We need to really make sure that their voices are heard. And I'm sorry we don't have much time. We're gonna get cut short. But Miguel, I want to give you a
Oh,
quick 10 seconds of what is your message for the community?
Well, we always say be always be aware of your surroundings. Precautions that we know personally, that things that we have to do, like in the subway. Don't I always wait like in the middle when there's nobody, there's no people.
Yes.
So it's a I think it's a personal. You cannot just it is
Yeah.
just time to just be very careful where you are, and then not going you know
Yeah, no, I thank you so much for
yeah,
that tip. So thank you again, Potri and Miguel and the
yes,
MNN team. Maraming salamat to all our supporters and
yes,
viewers,
yes.
and everyone, please keep safe. Ingat. Thank you.
Ingat.